For many years, Nintendo fans across the world have wanted one system and one system to return. That's right, the Nintendo 3DS. And has Nintendo completely forgot about this once beloved system and trying to push it deeper and deeper into a dark hole of oblivion? Now, I think that Nintendo definitely has their priorities set on something different. But imagine seeing the 3DS return with all the games associated to it. Now, I'm not specifically talking about Nintendo Switch Online, because then again, Nintendo Switch Online isn't necessarily the greatest thing when it comes to owning your own game and making it feel like you're back in 2011 going to the store and picking up one of these games that you've never played before, or maybe you have. Maybe you picked up the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time HD or 3D, whatever the case may be. But all these things make you really want to ask yourself, hey Nintendo, what in the world is going on here? So we get Luigi's Mansion 2 or Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, but like not half of the other games. What about the greatest Kirby game of all time, Kirby Triple Deluxe? What about Super Mario 3D Land? What about the Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds? All of these games are stuck forever on the Nintendo 3DS. But there's really only a couple ways to access these games. A giant library, a vast library of games. Now the first way that you can go and get yourself these games and play them is by, let's just say you don't have a 3DS. So first you gotta go and get yourself a $200 3DS, because my goodness, those 3DSs have gone up in price. Then you gotta go and search for the game that you want. And some games aren't cheap, so you really got to search for that game. Or you can say, well, I mean, there's another option, but you're not gonna like it. So, you go and grab your pirate hat, you slap it on, you go and sail the 7 seas, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna finally play, I'm gonna finally relive some of these amazing games once again. And it's really interesting to me because, like, Nintendo could make so much money. We know that Nintendo reselling games works very well because for those of us who want to stay on the good side of the island instead of joining the pirate ship, slapping on your pirate hat, well then, you gotta get your game through Nintendo as a whole, and sometimes they just want to re-release the games for the sake of re-releasing the game. Like, look what happened to Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon. Now, of course, this game back in the day was about $40, but now we saw a price increase to $60, and we really didn't see much come back. But hey, at least you can get that game and it's readily available. But what if you wanted to play it on the big screen, you don't have a 3DS, you don't want to join the pirates? Well, then there's nothing really that you can do about it. You can't really get any of the other 3DS games. Like, what in the world am I supposed to do without my Kirby Triple Deluxe? Kirby Triple Deluxe is such a great game. Hopefully, we can see it return, because honestly, I think that is one of the only Kirby games that's actually difficult. Boom, I said it, but it's true. Hear me out. That game is difficult, and maybe you don't think so, but you gotta see it return. We gotta see all these 3DS games return. But how in the world could they do this? Now, the first thing that you might be thinking of is there was a patent a couple months ago saying that there's going to be a second screen of some sort. Now, this could just be Nintendo making another handheld system or something going on like that, or it could actually lead to 3DS games sort of returning. Another thing that Nintendo could definitely do is just go back into the game, remove the touchscreen, make it some sort of menu that you open up, and there you go. You can easily just remove the capture button, or I mean the game chat button, because hey, am I the only one that just doesn't use that game chat button? Maybe because I'm all alone half the time, I don't have any friends, but this is true. It's mind-boggling that you can't use it to something else. Switch screens or something like that. Maybe you can have one part of the game on the left and one part of the game on the right. You can switch screens, or just have it a plain menu. This would make so much sense. Another thing that they could do is technically throw it into an emulator, but I feel like that right there, you would need the second screen instead of just opening up the game, changing a couple things, and there you go. So I feel like it's easier for them if their goal is to do the least work possible. Well, then there you go. You take what's good from the game, you slap it into there, you take the entire game, add 4K, add better textures, who cares? And then add a pause menu instead of the 3D screen, because The 3D screen, although it was really fun for a lot of games, you didn't necessarily need it for, I would say, the big games like Kirby, Zelda, and all of those games. Like the mainline games, you didn't really need the bottom screen, so it would work great without the bottom screen, or Nintendo could release some sort of controller like the Wii U gamepad, and you can play games just like you were with the Wii U gamepad. So you can have your Nintendo Switch 2 sort of hooked up to your television or your monitor or whatever it is, and then you can look down on the screen. That would be your second screen, and then you can use the top screen or the main display as your first screen if you don't want to get rid of something like that. There's so many different ways that we can see the Nintendo 3DS return, and I think that if they do make a return, my golly, there would be a lot of doubloons being spent by Nintendo fans across the world. Because we want one sure way to play 3DS games without having to put your pirate hat on. Because some of us don't like putting your pirate hat on. Because for me personally, I think when I play a pirate hat game, I don't enjoy it as much. Or I can't even finish it half the time. Usually, if I do that, it's going to be for some dumb little video. But after that, I'm like, I can't bother to play the game. I can't bother to finish it. All my time is getting wasted into something I do not own. And also, I didn't get fully by Nintendo themselves. It's just not me. It doesn't feel great. I'm not against you if you do it. I fully understand because, hey, you can't get the game anymore. If you can't get the game, what's the harm into doing a little bit of tinkering, you know? But yeah, this is something that I hope to see return. The Nintendo 3DS is an amazing console with so many bangers that it's really crazy that half of these games didn't make a return. Like, what about New Super Mario Bros. 2? Now, I know this was one of the most controversial games when it launched. Is this a good game, a bad game? I don't know. There's a lot of things that you really look at. This game is too easy. You get coins out the wazoo. You got even a blaster that shoots gold, and then you get coins. But then, this game has honestly the hardest Nintendo levels that have ever been created. Like, if you look at the DLC levels for that game, also a DLC that you can't get anymore unless you go and get yourself a 3DS that had it pre-installed. But besides that, you can't get it unless, like again, yeah. So, it's just very frustrating. It's a very frustrating thing. And if you were going to ask me, will we ever see the best console of all time return? I gotta tell you, I'm not quite sure. Nintendo is definitely very strange. Nintendo could easily made these come out on the Nintendo Switch, but we didn't see most of these games. Could we be seeing a double pack for games that had a sequel on the 3DS? Now that would make a lot of sense. It would be really interesting to see Kirby Triple Deluxe and Kirby Planet's Robobot. Now, although those two games are very sort of different, but I feel like they connect to each other in a way. Could be completely wrong about that. Of course, I don't know the Kirby lore, but I like those games. Those games are great. Double pack would make a lot of sense. Sell it for $70. There you go. You got yourself your game return. What if you wanted Mario and Luigi's Bowser's Inside Story and you also wanted a double pack with Mario and Luigi Dream Team? Well then, that would also make sense, in my opinion, in my books. What if you wanted The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D? Now I think it's time to see some sort of full-blown remake, and I think it's really possible to see Ocarina of Time full-blown remake. This would be pretty cool for those that don't like the 64 version. Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't like the 64 version because I get a headache every time I play. I know, it's maybe a me problem, but like, hear me out. It's just something that some people get. But overall, what's your favorite 3DS game? Do you think that they will ever return on the Nintendo Switch 2? Or do you think, gosh darn it, they're never gonna return, I gotta go and sail the 7 seas, I gotta go and become a pirate, I gotta go and find a 3DS, or whatever the case may be. I know, I'm right there with you. I don't want to become a pirate. Being a pirate sucks, because like, it doesn't feel legit, it doesn't feel like you really got those doubloons and you bought your game. Anyways, I don't really know where I'm going with this analogy, but what do you think about this? Do you think it's gonna happen? Not gonna happen? Thank you so much for watching. Hope that you enjoyed. Hope that you consider to have a fantastic day. I mean, I want you to have a great day. And with that being said, sorry about the squeaky chair, and see you in the next one.